We're honored to be here. Thank you so much. And I think Professor Huang just gave a very detailed lecture on Embodied AI, so I will be very brief to leave some more time for the remaining speakers. So my official title today is Director of Embodied AI at the Shenzhen Institute of Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, AIRS. So for society, I think it's very important. So today the topic will cover how is it for society and what's the societal impacts of embodied AI. So those are real products developed at AIRS and ready to be commercialized. And then I think embodied AI is happening right now. But first of all, what the heck is embodied AI? A brief explanation. So before we had embodied AI, the robot we have are what we call the feature robots. The robots are developed to carry on one task only, whether it's cleaning the floor or delivering products, it's one task. So one analogy is that if you go back 20 years ago, you probably had a Nokia phone. The only thing you can do on the Nokia phone is to make phone calls. That's a feature phone. But then the Android system swapped into a smartphone era so that now your phone can deliver many different tasks. The same is happening here for embodied AI. So this special technology enables the robot to learn from environment, to adapt to new environments. For example, this is a retail robot delivered for Meituan, such that it can open the vending machine and pick up the product for the customers. On top of that, on the right side, it's a service robot. The interaction between that robot and human is through voice command. You just ask him, or you just talk to the robot, say, I'm hungry. The robot will understand that you like apples or you like oranges. Then the robot would go pick up your apple or oranges and then drop it to you. And then down there, it's a mower. It's a robotic mower with an arm, such that if there's garbage on the floor, they can pick up that. So everything is happening today because of new technology, embodied AI, to convert traditional robots into a smart robot that can understand the environment and to deliver many different tasks. But since it's a social science conference, we would like to talk about how this would change our world. Durkheim, he's the founding father, I think, for social science, or part of social science. And then he defined society as following: government and law. So you need government and law to keep everything organized. Second aspect, it's an economy. You need the economy to fuel the advancement of society. The third thing is community. You need things to combine your community together to make sure we stay as a society together. So first of all, from our personal experience, more like my personal experience, what happens to government and law? The first thing I experienced as the CEO of Perception, we ship products internationally, especially autonomous driving products. The first thing we notice, the chaotic regulatory environments. What do I mean by that? If you ship an AI product to Japan, they probably today have the strictest regulation towards that product. Nobody knows how to deal with the local government. How do we deploy product? We end up have to talk to the central government of Japan and using a top-down approach to deploy the car. So that's the experience in Japan. In China, it's the reverse. You talk to the local government, you try to deploy, they let you to test drive the product, and then it's a more bottom-up approach. In the United States, it's a state-based approach. Every state has a different regulation. In Europe, I think we spend the longest time trying to deploy products in Europe because the regulation environment there is one of the most strict environments we have encountered. So as a startup, there's no global standard for AI regulation. We hope to have a global standard for AI regulation for the sake that most companies in the AI space are startups. Startups don't have the compliance team like Microsoft, like Google do. So if you set up a chaotic environment for AI, you will naturally filter out the startups and lead to monopoly. So that's the problem one. Problem two, we have encountered legal accountability. I think Professor Huang mentioned about healthcare in AI, and then the application of AI in different sectors, but who's accountable when things happen? If you are driving a Tesla, essentially a Tesla drives itself. If it hits the wall, whose fault is it? Who do you blame? What's the legal framework to take care of the accountability of? That's just one case for autonomous driving, but there are many different cases like that. So that's the second aspect we see under government law. The third one, AI, I think it's a big race today, especially between China and the United States. But is it a zero-sum game or we can collaborate? Today we are in an era that everybody is racing for the technological supremacy. Can we solve that problem? We don't have answer for that. I think Professor Zheng Yongnian, he's an expert in that, and in the afternoon panel we discuss more detail regarding supremacy. Economy. So we try to estimate, just embodied AI, not AI in general, how big an industry that it will create. I think it's a $350 trillion industry, according to our calculation, based on numbers from, for example, Elon Musk and different various sources. And it will replace a lot of jobs, a lot of jobs. So there's no way to avoid job replacement. And what's interesting is that a recent study regarding universal basic income, I think this idea has been around for a long time. I think a lot of social scientists, they study universal basic income and say, hey, that's a solution to the problem. But then if you follow technology news, Sam Altman from OpenAI, he funded a study last year. The study found out that universal basic income does not work at all. Does not work at all. So if that does not work, what are the alternative solutions? So that's still an open problem to be solved, especially for social scientists. The third one is the most subtle problem, community. We all live in communities. And under community, we have two problems. The first problem is that deepening social inequality. The rich people now can afford a lot of AI technology, whether it's for healthcare or for other purposes. But the poor remain poor. They don't have access. So it kind of breaks down society into chunks. The diversity is even more serious with AI. But the more subtle one, and the more interesting one that we recently focused on is a social isolation. Imagine if you have a companion robot, like Professor Huang mentioned, a robotic wife that can communicate with you very well, that can understand your emotion, that can comfort you. Do you still need a human companion? But that's been the binding force to bind our society for the thousands of years in the past. If you insert an AI companion in between your human relationships, what would happen to our society? Because we ponder upon the question that what's the core of humanity that's remain, that will not be replaced by AI? Many answers would say emotion. If you check ChatGPT, you ask ChatGPT, hey, what's the one thing remain in the core of humanity that cannot be replaced by AI? Most likely it would say emotion. But there's a new field, I think generated from MIT Media Lab. It's called affective computing. Basically to have machines to understand your emotion. Then if emotion is no longer a barrier, so we have to wonder what's the core of humanity that remains, that will not be replaced by AI. So that sums up my talk today pretty much, because hopefully through this very brief talk, you get the idea of what embodied AI is. The core message is that embodied AI is to make sure that the robot is not a dummy anymore. It does not just perform one task, but can perform general purpose tasks. The second thing is, here is the core of social science from Durkheim. And that's the framework we've been building as a human society for the past, I don't know, thousands of years. Going all the way back to the beginning of society. If we look at these dimensions, every single dimension is or has been disrupted by AI. And the most important of it, when we are worrying about government law, economy, I think the most important that is, do you need a human companion in the future if AI is so good? And with that, I'd like to conclude. Thank you so much.